Imagine this, Andrew Holness trailing in his own constituency with just a handful of ballot boxes left. Then suddenly, like magic, the numbers flip. Now Mark Golding and the PMP are saying, hold up, something right here so. By the end of this video, you will know why St. Andrew West Central seat might end up before the election court and why the JLP is already panicking. Holness was trailing, then suddenly flipped to victory in the final ballot boxes. Coincidence or manipulation? Drop your theories in the comments below. The JLP walked away with 35 seats. The PNP grabbed 28. But deep in the heart of Kingston, St. Andrew West Central, drama unfolded. Holness versus Buchanan. Goliath versus the underdog. With 87 out of 105 boxes counted, Buchanan was ahead by nearly 100 votes. But by the time the final tally wrapped up, Holness ended up with 7,054 votes to Buchanan's 4,953. A swing so sharp, people start asking if is cricket score we're watching or politics. It's like watching a movie where the villain looks defeated, then suddenly pulls out the plot armor in the last scene. If Holness loses St. Andrew West Central in court, should he resign as PM? Yes or no? Argue your case in the comments below. Golding steps in saying no recount. Recounts won't fix this. But election court, now that's a different story. He's accusing the JLP of using extensive and vulgar state resources to tilt the scales, and even claims vote suppression in key marginals. Translation: Holness may have won the paper, but the legitimacy of that victory could end up on trial. JLP push back. Enter Kamina Johnson Smith, Holness's right-hand defender, firing back that PMP is just political mischief making. Her words, not mine. She claims no election worker, no ECJ rep, not even a fly reported irregularities in West Central. Basically, JLP is saying if nobody saw it, then it never happened. Like a child hiding the cookie jar behind them back with crumbs all over their mouth. Be honest, do you think Andrew Holness legitimately won St. Andrew West Central? Type yes, fair and square. Type no, something shady went down. Explain your answer. I'm pinning the best replies in the comments. But here's the bigger picture. This isn't just about one constituency. Golding is exposing how the playing field itself might be rigged, with the ruling party allegedly using government resources like a personal campaign war chest, buses, handouts, state media, you name it. If the court finds irregularities in West Central, imagine the shockwaves across Jamaica politics. Could the PM's own seat be voided? Could we see a by-election? And what would that mean for Holness's credibility, both at home and abroad? Because nothing screams strong leadership like having your own election results dragged into court. If the election court throws out Holness's West Central win, should he resign as Prime Minister? A. Absolutely, he'd lose all credibility. B. No way, he should fight on. C. Jamaica would blow up if that happens. Here's a summary of the highlights and the key points. Holness trailed, then surged ahead last minute. PNP refusing recounts, but considering election court. JLP dismisses claims as desperation. Bigger issue: alleged abuse of state resources, plus vote suppression. This showdown isn't just Holness versus Golding. It's a battle for the soul of Jamaica's democracy, and the election court may be the stage where the truth finally comes out. This fight isn't just Golding versus Holness. It's about Jamaica's democracy. Do you think the election court should investigate West Central? Comment yes or no. Let's flood this comment section with the people's voice. So I agree with Mark Golding and the PNP attorneys that a magisterial recount will unlikely change the outcome of any seats. So we don't need to do none of that. The outcome is what it is. But as it relates to St. Andrew West Central, the nature of the irregularities which took place there, now that is being carefully scrutinized and will be brought before the constituted authority. So the constituted authority has the power to, among other things, request the election court to void an election and hold a fresh one if there are malpractices. And we can say whole heap of irregularities and malpractices in St. Andrew West Central, which is Andrew Holness constituency. And we see everything will take place there. So in other words, should the election court find any malpractice will take place in a St. Andrew West Central, the court could void the election and call a by-election for Holness constituency once they find any irregularities. We prove say we need to void that election between Buchanan and Holness and just fresh by-election. So we're looking at a possible by-election based on the court ruling, based on investigation, based on the evidence that will be presented. So Marky G went on to further say that while there is insufficient evidence to mount a legal challenge to the overall outcome of the elections, the PNP remains deeply concerned about the extensive and vulgar use of state resources to influence the results during the campaign period. He also claimed that the PNP experienced widespread suppression of its votes across marginal constituencies. Despite this, Golding was clear that the PNP is not suggesting the government was not duly elected. Well, I would say that we have a illegitimate government, because I question the legitimacy of this JLP stolen election victory. So by all the voter suppression, the extensive vote buying, yes, this is an illegitimate government who stole an election. So we all saw what took place on election day. Marky G and the entire PNP seat, all our experience what we experience at the polls. So we're now going to discard and we're now going to make the Holness administration gaslight and downplay the things that actually took place. We're now going to make them sweep it under the rug. Because of that they want to do. They want to silence we. They want to pretend like say, oh, nothing happened and they won the election fair and square. Them never won the election fair and square. They stole that election on September 3rd. That's why the JLP kind of so silent. It's like maybe their conscience are bad at them. They feel guilty. Oh no, notice how the Holness government just super quiet. Like really quiet. It's like they can't believe say they steal an election and then get away with it. That's just my opinion. That's just my assessment of the JLP at this moment. Not to mention, we have questions for the ECJ and the EOJ, so that is another issue in and of itself again. So there were several forces at play that was just against us on September 3rd. And we never stood a chance. We never saw what was coming. We only see it when it happened to we in a real time, in a real life, on the day when we're there at the polls. That's when we see say, oh shit, and this a reach we, but here what? This is our last election, the motif. Mark it down when me tell you, this is the last election they will ever steal. You see what happened September 3rd? It can't happen again. Even if Holness call a snap election, cause he might call a snap election, you know. Zane, that snap election will be done on our terms. So he can call all the snap elections when he want call. And we will make sure say what happened on September 3rd will never happen again. Remember, you know, everything can be manipulated. Worse when you have an abundance of financial resources at your disposal to influence certain outcome, bribe and pay off certain people. Of course, one election process can be manipulated easily, effortlessly, because you have the money to do it. So when you have people that are unpatriotic, when they stand for nothing, anybody can come and buy them out. So here is what raised the red flags with Holness surging victory. Remember, say Holness was trailing Buchanan by close to 100 votes with 87 out of 105 ballot boxes already counted. So that means 18 ballot box left when not count yet. So with 18 ballot box left uncounted, when they done count, we see Holness surge to 7,054 votes to Paul Buchanan's 4,953. That our raise the red flags. The 18 uncounted ballot box were left back. How you forget so much vote out of 18 ballot box were left? That is what raised the red flags. That's why we flag Holness numbers. That's why we flag Holness victory. It looks suspicious. Yes, it is very sus. So that is why Marky G is strategically targeting Holness's surge over Paul Buchanan, because something just not adding up with those numbers. But then I try to figure out how much vote can hold in a one ballot box. So I don't know if any of the bright people who subscribe or watch the channel I can tell me how much vote actually can hold in a one ballot box. You see me? Because the maths nah maths. So Holness shady, shaky victory over Paul Buchanan could be the weak link where expose all of the election corruption, voter suppression, election fraud, this stolen election that was clearly rigged, that undermined and sabotage a clear PNP victory. This might be the weak link where expose everything. Let's settle this once and for all. Who do you trust more with Jamaica's future? A. Mark Golding and the PNP. B. Andrew Holness and the JLP. Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below. So what do you think? Is the PNP right to challenge Holness in court? Or is this just political theater? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be pinning the best ones. And if you want more no holes barred breakdowns of Jamaica's political drama, hit that subscribe button, because trust me, this is just the beginning.